Hello everybody, it's Epidemic here. You already knew that, but welcome to the channel if you are new here. Today we are doing something very cool. We're going to be making the draft system from Rimworld. If you haven't seen the video where I did the planning and explanation and stuff, there will be a card up about here, and as well as in the description below you will find a link to that video. So if you want to know what I'm talking about or what we're doing today, go quickly check that out, pause it here, I'll wait for you, and come back when you're done watching that and you'll know what we're doing today. But yeah, we're making the Rimworld draft system. But before we get any further, if you guys like my content, subscribe, press the little bell icon as well so you get notified. But subscribing tells me, it doesn't actually tell me anything, but it will let you see more of my content in the future, which is important if you want to get stuff like this. I also live stream every once in a while, and sometimes I may post a random video, or maybe a bit late on a video. So you definitely want to press that bell icon along with it so you know when I do stuff. Anyway, let's get right into the video. We are going to start off by making our project, and it's going to be just named Rimworld Draft Station, the Rimworld Draft System, and I'm putting it in a external drive because I'm not going to put it onto my actual I'm not putting it onto my actual computer because it has very little space. So just to note, you can actually put this on an external drive. You can put Unity, you can put a bunch of stuff on an external drive. You just got to make sure it has enough space. But we're doing a normal 3D, we're not doing anything extra. I will be importing stuff though. But yeah, so I'm just gonna make it. There's not really much else I'm gonna do. You guys are you're not gonna see all the time because I don't know how long this is gonna actually take to make, and I won't be talking through the entire thing because then I won't have a voice by the end of it. But yeah, if you want to know what my schedule is, you'll also have that link down below, just for your information. But I'm not going to be putting any jokes in this one. It's going to be, I'm actually trying to show you how I'd build it, and I'll explain the code, of course. And yeah, but stay till the end of the video, because it's some information. If you're actually interested in how games might be made, I'd suggest you stay to the end, and stuff like that. So, we just have to wait until it gets loaded. Alright, looks like we are in. So we have our normal scene setup, which isn't actually correct. I don't remember having my scene set up like this, but that's okay. I'd normally have it two-paned, if it'll let me do it. Thank you, just so I can see both when I actually go to edit. So now we have that. Perfect. Now I just had to get some assets from the store. I'm going to be using something for the first-person controller because I don't want to spend extra time to do that. We're going to be using, now we're not using a first-person controller. I have to make this on my own because of how this is going to work, but we are going to try, I think I'm going to try and find a AI pathing system so that it makes my life somewhat easier, I guess. But we're going to be using the nav mesh, and I'll show you how to use that. We're going to be using other stuff that I'll go into later. But yeah, I'm gonna get some quick stuff set up, and I'll probably be fast forwarding through most of this, so let's get it done. Alright, so let's actually explain some of this. I just added a script called the AI controller, as well as I added our floor. I renamed the cube I put down floor. I made sure the main camera is where we want to be looking. I added the directional light's gonna stay, and then I added guy A and made sure he was a nav mesh agent. Because if he's not a nav mesh agent, then he won't run on the nav mesh, which is important because that's how we're running their AI. So I just made a script called AI controller, and I'm going to simply be putting in basically how the AI works. I'll come back and I'll fast forward through this part, and then I'll explain it when I'm done building it, because I don't actually know how I'm building it yet. So, yeah, see you in a minute.
There's nothing I won't do. When you sound the alarms and the chaos is rising, leading the charge, I'm coming, I'll fight. I swear on the breath that I breathe, I'll never retreat, I'll be your army. Every time we say goodbye, they all see that it's a lie. 'Cause we always give it one last try. Yeah, you've watched me break 1,000 times. Now I'm all alone, 'cause you never show. You say you will, but then you don't. That's how it goes. Don't wanna know. I'm turning off my mind so I get by. I just wanna be happy, happy.
Alright, let's do, this is technically the first test of the actual mechanic, because the mechanic is fairly simple, and in a simple way of doing it, it's very easy. But Nikes. Okay, give me a minute. I actually have to go set something. I forgot to set this. There we go. That will fix our problem. I should probably change that name because it would not be called dist. See? Our guy will move to it. The only place we're going to actually be able to move it right now is in the editor. But if we move it, let's say to here, he'll follow it. This is the basis for the start of how we want to do this. So what's going to happen is they're going to go between a couple points. Let's say there, here, there, and then back. And then when we draft them, they're going to stop. And then we can click somewhere and they will go to that location. This is the basic idea of how this will work. So this shows me that I think I know how to do this now. And no, I'm doing this right on the fly. I had the plan, but I didn't actually write anything down on how to do this. So I'm kind of working with this as I go. I want to show you how I would go about doing it and how I would test it. So anyway, I'm going to go make the rest of the next part of the script. And yeah, see you guys in a minute.
Seeing monsters at your window. No, you can't sleep, you pretend though. You don't have to play the hero. 'Cause I got you like you got me. When the earth shakes, when the bombs scream, until our last breath, every heartbeat.
a lot better. I've basically just spaced out a bunch of the stuff to make it so that he has a bit farther to travel, and he now has to be within one of where he's going to get there. And then he's going to go there, and then he's going to go to the next one, and then he's going to go here. And then here, it basically goes 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to go to this one. That is almost exactly, that's perfect actually. That's exactly how the system needs to work. Alright. So we are basically about 50% done our drafting system right now. So I'm going to say, if you guys have enjoyed what you're seeing right now, and you're having fun, enjoying me trying to talk to code, we're going to do a bit of a coding thing in a minute. But I suggest you press the subscribe button. Hit the like button, show me you like it, do all that stuff. It helps out the channel, helps me out, tells me you like what I'm doing. Leave a comment below saying something nice, to other commenters, to just anyone. You could say something nice to Jeff. And if you haven't grabbed your glass of milk, god damn it, go grab your glass of milk. I swear, I told you at the beginning of the video to grab it. You should grab it now. Go get it, enjoy it. Sit and be under tranquility as you have a glass of milk. It could be any milk too, by the way. It could be soy milk. It can be oat milk. Weird choice for milks, but I understand. It can be almond milk. It could be goat milk. From the highest esteemed goat in the mountains. I'm okay with it, as long as it's like milk. And you know what? Water, because it's hot. In fact, I have water right here. I'm going to take a nice drink of it. Alright, go get some milk. I'll be here waiting.
Off my mind so I get by. I just wanna be happy tonight. Without giving a warning, I'ma leave without giving a. But every time we say goodbye, we all know that it's a lie. Now I'm all alone, 'cause you never show. You say you will, but then you don't. Let's let it go. Don't wanna know. I'm turning off my mind so I get by. I just wanna be happy tonight. Every time we say goodbye, they all see that it's a lie. 'Cause we always give it one.
Alright, so this is the final scene, what we've made, if you can see it here. We have 2 barricades and 1 player, and I have hidden every static waypoint as well as a player waypoint to make it look a bit more like how it would. Because you wouldn't see these except for a small circle on the floor when you enter draft, but I'm not making that at the moment. We could make that, but we're going to start with just making it so we're going to, you know what, I've changed my mind. We're going to have this stay there. No, that's not what we want. We want mesh render. There we go. because you would see that. You wouldn't see it until you clicked, of course, but let's take some imagination here. So we're gonna go through what it looks like. This is the final product, and there's most likely I'm gonna be talking through some of this, but we're just gonna talk about it here. And as you can see, our guy is gonna go between points. Imagine this in Rimworld. Let me just fix this scene. Let me just put the game view up. So imagine in Rimworld, this would be our guy going to do his tasks, doing cleaning, doing stuff like that, just going between a couple different areas. Now, if we enter draft mode, which we don't actually have any symbol for the player to see, they will just go straight to the point. And if we go and click here, it will go follow the point as well. We can't stop time or anything, but as you can see, we can basically hide them behind this now. So if we want to go over there, now they can walk through this barricade here temporarily because it is counted as, it doesn't actually technically exist to them. It's because if we go like this, it will just go through it. We can fix that, of course. In fact, I will show you how to fix that right now. Once they get over there, I'll show you. All it really is all we have to do is take these, and we'll right click on both of them. We go into navigation. And we also, by the way, need to bake our area, but let's get our objects set up first. We set them to navigation static, and they are not walkable, and then we bake. Now we give it a minute to bake, and there you go. It generates a nav mesh for this area. Right? So it basically can't go within this area, and it can't go outside of the blue area. And that's how navigation meshes work. So this is the draft system. And this is about how I would do it. It's very rough looking, but the base system is there. If you wanted to add an icon that shows when you're in draft, it's fairly simple, fairly easy. You just add a UI and check for the is drafted on our guy script here. Let's go back to inspector, and you just check if he's drafted. And when he gets drafted, you'd flip a toggle over here, and that's how it worked. And you can also change the toggle from here. Right now we just have a static. We press R and it will work. But I'm going to go through the 3 scripts we have real quick. I'm going to explain them. And then we're going to wrap up this video because guess what? That's all we had to do. It's basically just 3 scripts. Now we have our draft mover, which will move our little point there to wherever we click. Now it moves the camera. We have our camera and we have the agent. And we basically set the camera to our main camera and we set the agent to this game object's navmesh agent. Alright? And then in our update, when we update, which is called once per frame, if we have pressed the mouse button down and we set it to 0, so it's our left click, we set a raycast hit, and then we check if we basically make a raycast, which is like a laser being shot into space, and then we check where it hits. So if it hits, basically when it hits ground, we set the agent's destination to hit dot point, and that's what we do. So yeah. Next we have our list helper, which literally just handles the ability to rotate through our list so that it's constantly going from waypoint to waypoint to waypoint to waypoint. So what happens is we take public static void, that's just a method declaration, and we have move blah blah blah. It takes in a list, it takes in an old index, and it takes in a new index. So basically it takes an item of whatever our type is, so that's what that means, that's type. In this case we're using a transform, and it creates a new list with old index. Or sorry, no, that's not what I meant to say. Forgive me. It creates an item that is equal to the list that we set in here, so our list, and it finds the item that's at the old index. And then it removes the old index. And then it inserts the new index with the item we called up here. So it basically stores the old index, removes it, and then adds it again at wherever we decide to put it now. And that's all that does. And then we have our AI controller. So basically, we set a nav mesh agent, we set a player location, a current location, we set our waypoints. These both are transforms, a list of transforms. We have a key code, which is a button on your keyboard, of course. And then we set if we're drafted. And we set it automatically to false because we don't want to start in draft mode. And then we basically set all the above. So we basically, first thing we do is we set the agent. Then we basically set them to go to the first waypoint. We tell them to head there, and then we, of course, reshuffle our waypoint list. And then on update, what we're first going to do is we're looking if we get the R key down. So if someone presses the R button down on their keyboard, we basically check. We do a switch statement saying if we're drafted, and a switch is just, it's basically it switches between the two whenever it's called. So we have case true and then case false. If drafted is true, it can be said like an if statement. If the drafted is true, then it switches it to false. And if it is false, then it switches it to true. It's just a simple, it's literally just switching the two back and forth. That's all this really does, this part here. That's all this part here does. Next we say if we're not drafted, then we set our stopping distance to 0 because we ran into a glitch earlier. And then if our agent, if the remaining distance to our current target is less than or equal to 1, then we set a new location from our waypoints, and then we set it to that destination, and then we reshuffle our waypoints. So, and then if it is drafted, then we make sure to set our agent the stopping distance of our agent to 2, and then we set the destination to wherever the player location dot position is. And if you remember, our player position dot location will give us our player waypoint, because it's this one, which has our draft mover, which means it will go wherever it goes, and it will stay a distance of 2 away from it. Now we could change that to 1, and it will make it so it goes closer to it, but I don't really think that's needed. So, that has been the draft system from Rimworld. It's not perfect. It is a little rough around the edges, but it is basically the idea. Anything you want to add can be added onto it. It's a system that works, and as we've seen, it works perfectly fine. So, if you guys have watched this far, man, well done. I'm proud of you. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something from this. I love doing this. It was fun. It took about, hold on, let me actually check. Let me bring up the timestamp. Let's see how long it took. It took 2 hours to make this. And that's me having to look up stuff, fumbling through things. Now that you have this, you can probably make it in a couple minutes. Not a couple minutes, maybe 30 minutes. To get stuff set up, get all that done. But, yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, press that subscribe button down there, because that will give you more content in the future. And that after you subscribe, there will be a bell icon that will appear. Hit that, because then it will notify you when I post in the future, as long as when I go live and all the other stuff. Sometimes I do extra little bits of fun, and I have a schedule in the description below. You should check that out too. But I will leave links to stuff, and of course I want to mention before we wrap this up that a lot of this stuff can be found on the asset store. A lot of it can be found there. You can find point-to-click stuff out there, stuff that helps make waypoints instead of having to do it yourself. But my goal is to make something simple, easy, so you can easily integrate it into anything. A lot of the other systems are complicated and they're well built, but it's hard to integrate them into something else. I wanted something rough, something you can plug in, and then modify to whatever end you need to. And explain it so you know why it works and how it does what it is doing. In the simplest way, of course. Anyway, enough of that. I'm going to log off this video. Thank you again for watching, And if you drunk your milk this video, I'm very happy, proud of you, thank you very much. Leave in a comment in the comments below if you drunk your milk. I swear, Jerry, if you didn't drink your milk again, I'm coming for you. I will find you, Jerry. Anyway, until next time, Happy New Year.